Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and today's video is going to be going over Warlock, Warthin, beta talent builds for Aff, Demo, Destro, and trying to cover both Soul Harvester, Diabolist, and Hellcaller, respectively, for each build. Now, I noticed over the past few weeks, I've been updating y'all on like videos about Destro, Demo, and Aff, all the class changes, but I haven't actually made a video on talent builds. If you want links to these builds, there'll be a link to the paste bin down below, which I update whenever I update builds, so you guys can grab it there. At the same time, the Warlock spreadsheet, the one I'm working on for beta, if you want early access to that, it gets all these builds as well, which is indeed now live on Patreon for the tier 3 Felguard rank or higher. If you're looking at supporting on Patreon, you link up here, as well as down below. But yeah, all these builds you up to date. Now, I will say that things may change next week, or I guess tomorrow, depending when the build hits. But either way, I will keep both the spreadsheet and the paste bin up to date for those that want these builds. They're not optimal 100%, just sort of what I've tested here and there. I think they're pretty close, if not, but, you know, asterisk, not optimal. But yeah, anything else, the week wars or add-ons, you can get it from Twitch and Discord, link down below. And let's get into it. So we're going to start here as Affliction. I'm going to say very briefly the class tree is really not going to change much for any of these specs or builds or whatever. You want the damage nodes, Socrathars, Argyri, Demonic Tactics, so on and so forth. You might want Shadow Fury with Dark Fury at times for the affix for the AoE CC things. You might want Howl over Coil at times if you want to Howl affix. If you're trying to get these points you don't have already unlocked, the first thing I probably pull from here is likely Fel Domination to go into like Dark Fury if you want it, or maybe something pull from Artifice as well to put points somewhere else. But in general, the class tree may change a bit depending on what you want. Keep that in mind. So getting into Affliction here, Hellcaller is the best, I would say, honestly, just in general. If your spec can be Hellcaller, whether it's Aff or Destro, you're playing Hellcaller. It's very good. Wither is strong, and even if Wither gets nerfed, I guess more so when it likely gets nerfed, if and when, it still feels really good to play because Malevolence is a button that is basically Dark Soul Misery or Instability, with a 1-minute cooldown. It is very strong, feels good to hit, and honestly, is not too strong or it needs to be nerfed or anything. It's just like, it feels good to play with. It's good. The power of Hellcaller lies in Wither and the interactions that it has. Now we're playing Hate for Rituals here for 50% more Wither damage in a shorter duration, but the cool thing about this build here, this is our single target Aff build. This is currently the best build out there. It was confirmed for the most part with somebody else as well, a few from Warlock at this point. We are playing Absolute Corruption everywhere because AC, 15% damage increase to Wither. Siphon Life is 20. This is permanent. This is a bit more damage, but this is permanent. Save GCDs, quality of life. I hope this stays this way, honestly, because playing with AC feels great. Point being, this is our single target build here. We have to put a point in Seed, 2 points in the Kindled Malice. We found out recently that 1 point in Volatile Agony is actually better than playing a point in Dark Virtuosity if you're playing Hellcaller. If you're playing Soul Harvester, that changes a bit. We'll look at that in a minute here. But if you're playing Hellcaller, I would go here. Singularity into Infirmity. Now you're playing Dark Lair and you are playing Malevolent Visionary. I understand people don't like Dark Lair, I get it. This is the better build, damage-wise. It's been confirmed by a handful of Warlocks who I respect, all their opinions, so on and so forth. They've had the highest results with this build here as well. Now if you're playing in Execute and things, obviously I would put a point in Death's Embrace, probably, and I'd probably pull from like maybe Visionary depending on kill time. Something along those lines, but that is where I would be. Now, unfortunately, a lot of our capstones or pre-capstones, like Improve Rapture, Malefic Touch, Ravenous Afflictions, this is not very good at all. This is like just not very good down here. Are very, very subpar. I believe this is a 1% DPS increase. I think 0.6, like this is very bad as well. I mean, they could be better if they're tuned with like more damage, obviously, but you know, as far as raw playability and best builds go in single target, this is where I would look with Hellcaller Affliction. Now, when it comes to AoE, like an M+, well, let's go cleave build here. I guess I should say like single target cleave, right? I would like to swap a couple points here. We will do. I don't know how to change, but it's fine. We'll do this. So the only real thing I'm changing here is I'm speccing it into Death's Embrace if you want Death's Embrace here, and I'm grabbing 2 points in Cold Weak. And now it's important to like apply logic here because like realistically, I wouldn't mind a point here in Malevolent Visionary. If it's a fight where you don't want Death's Embrace, you can play, you know, Xavius Gambit and Oblivion if you want to, if you can get like that funnel damage. It sort of depends what you're doing and how often ads are spawning. This build's a little more experimental. Honestly, you can just play the previous build I was talking about as well, because if you compare like this build here, roughly, the ST Cleave build to the single target build, not much really changes. You're not playing 2 points in Cold a week, but you're playing, you know, Xavius' Gambit, and you're playing Oblivion, and you're playing a point here, which can go realistically anywhere here, here, so on and so forth, right? If you can find downtime to get like Oblivion damage in, you know, every minute or so with your cooldowns, this is more than fine. If you want a little bit more prio damage, if it's like a semi-consistent cleave-based fight where you can get good cold weak value, this is a very strong talent. If you can get consistent value in 4 targets, 5 targets, but it depends on how often the ads are spawning. So you got to sort of base it on, you know, a fight-by-fight basis, and you know, just go from there. But if you want to play a single target build and also have cleave elements, you can play this build here. This is the single target build I was looking at a minute ago. This build is fine for cleave. You still get seed, you still get singularity. You can even change to Vile Taint at times if Vile Taint's better for you, right? But keep in mind, you lose the infirmity damage amp with Vile Taint making that swap. So there's that. Honestly, you have to spec into Seed as Affliction, Implosion for Demo, and Rain of Fire for Destro. But you basically get whatever you want for the most part, barring like this part of the tree being a little clunky for Aff, which, you know, all the builds here aren't playing Improved Haunt. Love to have it, but Haunt doesn't. Would love to have it, but Haunt does no damage in the first place. And while the cast time reduction is nice and Shadow's Embrace is nice as well, damage is better. So this here or this, if you want like a cleave-based element, once again, Death's Embrace can go wherever you want if you want it or not. You know, if ads are dying a lot or whatever. When it comes to AoE, this is what I've been playing in M+. And oh, also, I should clarify, both these builds here in single target are indeed playing Shadow Bolt. I think Shadow Bolt's a little better than Drain Soul when it comes to single target for Hellcaller and certainly Soul Harvester. Now, going back to the AoE build here, I am playing Drain Soul in this build because Drain Soul has been fixed to now work with Cunning Cruelty. Now, this build's really interesting because, honestly, I'm not sure if I like this build. I was playing this actually. I put this on here for some reason, I don't know why, but I was playing this build more recently. Obviously playing Vile Taint here over Singularity, and I'm not sure how much I like the one. I mean, I want essentially 2 points here in Contagion because of how strong Wither is in M+, but I don't know where to pull the point from. Obviously, I want Soul Rot, Malign Omen, Dark Harvest, I want Crescendo, and I want Withering Bolt. I'm not playing Xavius' Gambit. I'm playing Malignancy and Creeping Death, and a lot of this is due to our capstones being pretty subpar. I really don't get a whole lot of value out of Malefic Touch or Improved Rapture or out of Afflictions or whatever here, so I'm playing a lot of middle of the tree talents right now. You can maybe pull this point here, like Visionary, and put it in Contagion. It might actually be better when it comes to like sustained damage comparatively to Dark Lair damage. I'm not sure, haven't messed with it enough, but either way, this is where I've been for the most part in AoE, playing Vile Taint over Singularity with Infirmity, Haunt, Shadow's Embrace. You could even go like this and just pull Shadow's Embrace and go into Contagion here. If you want a little less single target for a little more like dot damage, which might be worthwhile, sort of a trade-off, depending how you want to look at it. Not sure what's better. I've been moving this point around a little bit here and there. This is where I've landed recently, but either way, these are 3 builds when it comes to single target, ST Cleave, and AoE that I would play for Hellcaller. Very briefly, getting into Soul Harvester here, I'm not going to show a whole lot because, you know, a lot to do. I'm not going to have links to all 20 builds with Hellcaller and Soul Harvester in the paste bin as well. Just you can change it if you want, but not a whole lot really changes. For Soul Harvester, I would say in AoE, I do still want Drain, like M+, do still want Drain Soul, even though Shadow Bolt's pretty good. In single target, I would change a couple things. So I do, like Soul Harvester is based a lot around Shadow Bolt damage, like a lot around Shadow Bolt damage. It'll be your #1 source of damage if you're playing it right. I definitely want 2 points in Dark Virtuosity, so I'm pulling Agony and going into Virtuosity. Now, when it comes to this, the question is, what else do you pull? I've been pulling Visionary and going to Dark Virtuosity like this until I realized like, I need to pull this instead because we're not playing Wither anymore. So I've been playing this when it comes to single target as Soul Harvester. Late, sorry, the brain is off, but I've been playing this. Now, I do think you're going to want this at some point because more Nightfall procs gives more damage. You can change this to Piece of Souls if you want either way. Both are fine. But your Shadow Bolt damage here is very, very, very strong. This in single target and this more in AoE, respectively, for whatever build you're playing. Your Shadow Bolt damage is very, very, very strong in this build. If you like that, great. If you don't, there you go. But not a whole lot really changes. The main thing is like you want 2 points in Virtuosity, pulling 1 point from Volatile Agony and 1 point that I have down here in Sacrilash to go bang and bang for the most part. Everything else feels pretty good here. A little experimental. And once again, if you want Death's Embrace, you can pull a point from like here, or maybe this one it's nerfed to go into Embrace in the long run. Now, when we're looking at Demonology Warlock, these are going to be all Diabolus builds here. I will say if you're playing like an AoE build at M+, we did hit on it very briefly. The Soul Harvester build, if you are playing it, I'll just show what it does. I'll show what it is briefly here, and we're going to cover Diabolus. If you're in M+, and you want to play Soul Harvester, you play Shared Fate here, and you play Shadow Invocation in AoE. The Shared Fate synergy of the dot proc and hitting everything with Shadow Invocation is very, very, very strong. This may change next build, not really sure, but outside of that, Soul Harvester Demo feels pretty underwhelming, and I don't think you really play anywhere outside of this synergy being pretty cool, which might get nerfed. I mean, it probably gets fixed at some point. But either way, that is that. We're going to look at a single target build here for Diabolist, and, well, just start there. So when it comes to Diabolus Demonology, this is where I would start. Now, every build here for Demonology does indeed take Implosion. You have to go through this to get to your other talents. It is what it is. I don't know what to tell you. We're playing dogs, carnivorous, for the most part, pretty similar to retail. Strength, inner demons, siphon. They've moved sack souls up here in the most recent talent build. It is no longer down here. This is multiplicative. Whatever you have for Shadow Bolt damage without sack souls talented, like in a breakdown, taking this will double the damage. We have a million modifiers to Shadow Bolt. You play this everywhere, I think, in single target, in cleave, and AoE. It's just that good. I play it in M+. It's higher in the tree. It's just that good. When you're in those funnel or single target settings, it brings a crazy amount of extra damage. Whether you like Shadow Bolt or not, just it is what it is. Besides that, in single target, we're playing Siphon, Tyrant, Grimoire. I'm not playing Fiendish Ablation. I think it's sort of mediocre, honestly. If we could get the core being given to us when we cast Felguard, that'd be great. Help with Tyrant setups and all that. But afterwards, I'm already swimming in core, some pets expiring. Pretty mediocre. I wouldn't mind Sunder, but I don't know what's the pull here. This does affect Tyrant damage as well as Shadow Touch, so keep that in mind as why we're playing them. Umbra Blaze into It Mother, we're playing Vile Fiend into Great Gambit, which is working now. Purple Dog in single target. Flame Touched, Shadow Touched. Foul Mouth is currently broken, not increasing these two dogs' damage, but we're playing it because honestly we need the pathing, and I'm tired of talents being broken and pathing around them. I'm playing it, and we're playing 1 point over here in Tauren. This build has seemed the highest to me in single target. I don't think playing Brutality or Tactics is worth it. Going into Hatred. Hatred's pretty bad right now. With the core economy being nerfed a bunch, they need to buff Hatred a crazy amount for it to be good. Otherwise, I'm just gonna play this. Like big dog part of the tree, consistent damage, all that stuff seems pretty good. Doom seems sort of subpar now too, and it's bugs. I'm playing this currently in single target for Demonology. And when it comes to playing a cleave build for Demonology, I'm shifting towards this. Not a whole lot really changes. I am not playing Umbra Blaze. I'm not playing Pack the Mother. I'm putting a point in Felsunder and putting a point in Dreadlash, which is pretty cool because on the downside, like for every Warlock spec at Demodestro, they all got talent into their AoE. Implosion, Rain of Fire, and Seed, right? But on the upside, honestly, similar to Aff, the builds really don't change much. Like this is single target cleave. I'm getting Dreadlash and Felsunder. Here's single target. I changed 2 talents, right? And the builds are strong in single target. And honestly, like getting rid of this doesn't really make a big difference, but you get a lot more cleave elements, right? Now, down the line, you might want Doom in certain settings if it's tuned better and works and all that. We're playing, let me go back to this here. And we're also playing, to clarify, we're still playing Purple Dog when it comes to the ST cleave build, which is right here. We're just playing Dreadlash and this over this and this. If you want a little more cleave in this build without like changing everything else, you can play Fire Dog too. Purple's better than Fire in single target, but if it's like more sustained cleave, Fire Dog is more than fine. When it comes to AoE, shifting from the cleave build to full AoE here, we are taking Shadow Invocation and we are changing to the Red Dog. Now I mentioned already, Diabolist is the better I think hero talent in general for rating, and once if and when they fix the Soul Harvester Shared Fate interaction with Shadow Invocation, Diabolus is likely better everywhere else. But if and or until they do, if you want to play AoE as Demonology, you can play Soul Harvester with Shared Fate and spread Doom Bolts around, or Demon Bolts around from Cuitus or whatever, putting Shared Fate to other mobs. When they die, they also proc Shared Fate, and each like splash of the dot ticks from Shared Fate has a chance to proc bombers. The more targets it splashes onto, being Shared Fate, the higher chance bombers is the proc. So in mass AoE, when things are dying, Bombers has an insane amount of damage. But going from this build here, this is the AoE Dogs, I spelled it Dogs, D-A-W-G-S. Looking at this build here, and shifting back to the pure single target build, look what changes here. Not a crazy amount. You're pulling out a Dreadlash out of Sunder, and you're changing this back to Purple Dog, and you're playing Imperator from somewhere else. I forgot what I pulled. But not a whole lot changes. Demo has a well-rounded stat cleave profile, and you can enhance it more to have Fire Dog and a couple more cleave elements, or say I want more single target, still have that baseline Implosion profile, so on and so forth. If you want the builds, links down below. Now, finally, it comes to Destruction. And Destruction is an interesting spot. It is the worst tuned spec, the lowest spec currently on beta, but that means nothing right now because the numerical tuning may change tomorrow. Who knows? But currently, it feels really good to play, I think. Even with the changes to Overfiend, how they changed this to no longer spawn Overfiends and now give stacks a flashpoint, it feels good to play due to how fast Soulfire is by decimation and how fast CDF is and how it can proc Soulfire. Now, getting into all this stuff here, once again, it's a Hellcaller spec. If you have the option of playing Hellcaller, you play it. I will say Diabolus is not that bad either. It's fun to play, visually very cool. If you're going to play Diabolus, I just play this instead, this build here. But either way, you can play Hellcaller, you're playing Hellcaller. Wither replaces Immolate, so there's that. Instant cast Dot, all that kind of stuff. Like I said before, you have the talent into your AoE spells, Rain of Fire. You can go into Pyrogenics here over Cataclysm, but I'm not doing that. You can't currently path the Assaulting Flames via Havoc and Mayhem, which is odd. I wouldn't mind pathing like this, but you can't do that, which is very interesting. Well, I should change that at some point in the pathing of the tree. We'll see where it goes. Either way, grabbing Roaring Blaze here, Backlash, skipping Havoc and Mayhem here, which feels weird because you play it on retail now in single target, because you got to path through it. But funny enough, you basically reverse that and have to path through your AoE to get to it in worth in. But either way, Scalding Flame is very good here. Wither damage increase, duration increase. You're playing Bleakheart and not Hate Fury here, like you're playing for Affliction being Hate Fury, because you don't have permanent Wither here. Well, we sort of do, but don't with Soulfire. We'll get to that. Playing a point in Indiscriminate Flames here. EP, Conflagration of Chaos. This is just an aura buff, very good. Ashen, a point in CDF, a point in Raging, and a point in Demon Fire Mastery, giving you a faster channel, more damage. Your Infernal's back from the tree here, very cool. Playing a point in Entropy. I do think Internal Combustion is better here, but I'm not playing this right now. This is a miserable talent. I don't want to play it, especially on beta. I don't care. But when it comes to retail, if it ends up being better by a decent bit, I'm going to play it, but I don't want to. But either way, there is that. Infernal is here. I've been playing Crashing Chaos and Reign of Chaos. I think Crashing's a bit better. Both are actually pretty good and fun to play with. Emberstorm, Conflagration, Eradication, so on and so forth. A point in Ruin, giving us crit strike damage increase to extra spells. Ritual, Master Ritualist, Avatar, being the Overfiend. Burn to Ashes, Devastation, Improved Chaos Bolt, Chaos Incarnate, Soulfire, and Decimation. I know this is not great. This point here could be better than this. I don't know. Gonna test with it more, but either way, this is what I'm playing right now. I will say I am skipping Flashpoint here because number one, it's a single target, so when it goes below 80%, no more Flashpoint. Number two, Bleakheart Tactics can give you, I guess, Blackened Soul stacks, or can give you procs of Seeds of Their Demise, giving you 2 stacks of Flashpoint. This can refresh, it can stack past 2 to 3. I don't think there's a point in the tree that I can pull here that's better in Flashpoint than it is anywhere else in single target. I could be wrong. I don't think there is. I don't know, but I'm not playing this because number one, I get procs from here a decent bit. Number two, it feels weird in single target. They added pathing here via Infernal, which is great. So we are playing that. The cool thing here with Destro playing CDF and all that is that Soulfire via Decimation resets quite often whenever you critically strike. Chaos Bolt always crit strikes. At the same time, CDF with RDF giving you additional bolts and duration increase to Wither and all that, and this thing making it channel faster. Whenever you cast CDF, there's likely a 70% chance or so to give you a Soulfire reset, which feels very good. Soulfire applies Wither or Immolate, right? Gives you a Soul Shard. I really never cast Wither manually as this version of Destro. It's always reapplied through Soulfire, and then CDF extends it forever via Raging Demon Fire. And if I have to, I'll just cast Kata every once in a while, but I think just casting Wither is better at that point. Either way, I really never refresh Wither here manually. I just cast Soulfires, and it feels pretty good. When it comes to the ST cleave build, so this is where things get interesting. Now, it depends how much cleave you want, and this will vary based on what you're doing. You can indeed cleave Soulfire via Havoc. It will give you 2 shards, it'll apply 2 withers, all of that. If there are frequent ad spawning where you can get a lot of flashpoint value, might be worth taking early on. If it's a fight like Amalgamation Chamber where there's 2 targets for the first part of the fight and then they go below 80%, you never get it again, might not be worth it. I am playing a point here in Havoc. All I did was pull this, put it in Havoc. If it's stat cleave, you might want to keep this point here and pull from like Conflagration of Chaos, maybe pull a point from down here. I'm not really sure to get Havoc. If it's like spread cleave though, I would just pull these points out of here and go like 1, 2, probably 3. Just get your flashpoint talent here, forget CDF, forego it, and just go from there. You might want CDF and Raging for Soulfire resets, depending what the fight is like. But if it's a heavy cleave fight, consistent cleave, I won't rolling Havoc, even though it's not the best when it comes to like 1% per stack, it's still something. And Havoc baseline, obviously. And this point here, honestly, I mean, you can throw it if you need Shadow Burn for like targets dying, you can do that. If you want CDF, you can. I just throw it here in Flashpoint because, you know, whatever. But a little customization here. Either way, this build seems solid. Want to test it in cleave. And if you don't like Soulfire in this build, if you're like, I don't want to play it for whatever reason, you can just pull these points and go like here and go, you can go here and pull this point and go over here. And there you go. You get a weird like CDF build, which isn't that good because you're not playing Soulfire anymore, but you can, there's ways around playing Soulfire if you don't like any of these cleave builds, right? So it's sort of up to you. You can figure it out, your own pathing, so on and so forth. But this is roughly where I'd start in Havoc-based cleave. You can cleave Soulfires. It resets quite often, even when you're in Havoc without CDF, but a little experimental still, trying to figure it all out. But this is where I'm at currently with that build. When it comes to AoE and plus stuff, this is where I'm at currently. Now, I am playing Cataclysm over Inferno, having a way to go into a pack and just say, yo, Cata, apply 8 Withers, pop Malevolence, haste increase, Withers flare out, do damage, feels really strong. At the same time, having CDF, the RDF, and Demon Fire Mastery gives you permanent Withers, essentially, extensions, good cleave, all that, so on and so forth. Now, the thing here, I am playing 3, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9 points down here. So I have 1 point allocated up here. The thing is, I don't have Flashpoint here. I have Fire and Brimstone. I'm really debating pulling his point in Power Overwhelming here and putting it in Flashpoint. But I think PO is a little strong, or I think it's stronger than Flashpoint overall. And I can't totally decide what I want to do here. But I have I've foregone playing Flashpoint for now due to like seeds giving me procs when things, you know, Black and Soul deals damage, which is a lot of them ticking because of Wither stacks with Cataclysm and CDF and popping Malevolence. I haven't really felt that I needed it, but might change. I don't know. We'll see where it goes. Maybe, for example, you don't want Rolling Havoc. Just say I want Flashpoint instead. You can put that point there. It's sort of up to you. But once again, very similar to like Aff and Demonology, when it comes to playing the cleave build of this spec, this is like the M+ build I play for Destruction. Swapping back to single target here, not a whole lot really changes, right? You're playing Soulfire, you're playing Decimation, playing Conflagration of Chaos, and playing EP over like Fire and Brimstone, over Havoc, over Rolling Havoc, and over Power Roaming. Not a whole lot really changes here. And while people do say that it sucks having talent into your AoE spells like Cataclysm and Rain of Fire to path through these trees, I think it's almost like okay, because you get what you want in single target, you get what you want in AoE, and you have that universal profile that can do essentially both if you want, that not every class can, because you have that reach with all these talents being your retreat, right? So that's where I've landed for all these builds here. I will say I've been experimenting a bit with Soulfire and M+ in the cleave build here, because having Cata apply 8 Withers and CDF, cleaving everything, Malevolence, a build like this has actually been really strong. Like, it brings a lot of Soulfire procs, a lot of Prio Dam from Soulfire, but at the same time, it's really busy because you're spamming Rain of Fire, spamming CDF, spamming, just you're capped on shards, and you're trying to weave Soulfires in between via Havoc windows and Prio Funnel and all that. It feels really good. It might be too complicated and not worth it, but yes, I'd forego this for now, stick with this build, which is like the normal cleave build I'm playing, and go from there. And yeah, if you want any of those builds, links down below. So thanks for watching, guys. That concludes the video, and hopefully you found it useful. Hopefully you found the builds useful, and all of that stuff. Now, like I said, there should be some changes. I mean, I would expect changes coming still over the next few weeks. If things do change, the pay spin and the spreadsheet, if you look at that, will indeed be updated, you know, on a weekly basis for the new builds and all that. But I think these builds are pretty close to being optimal. Well, if not optimal, but we will see where it goes. Currently, Hellcaller is ahead of everything else by a substantial margin, but I mean, even if they nerf Wither and things, I guess more so when they nerf Wither and things, Hellcaller will still feel good to play because Malevolence as a button feels really good to hit. It feels like Dark Soul, which we haven't had in a long time. Before I end the video, I want to give a huge shout out to my patrons, like always, for all support on Patreon. I'll thank you a million times. I really appreciate it. If you look at supporting on Patreon, should be a link up here, as well as down below in the description. And if you guys want any weekly wars or add-ons, link to Twitch and Discord down below, and all for free for you guys. I'm expecting there to be some tuning coming to, I guess, Destro and after Wither. There might be a bit of Soul Harvester tuning coming in general for Demo and Aff, because honestly, like, it feels really strong in certain spots with, like, the Biosword Bomber synergy for Demonology and, like, things dying in general for Aff. But I think as far as raw power is concerned, it's likely the worst one, like in raid settings and all that. Maybe they want disparity between raiding and Mythic Plus and all that. If they want that, they've got it. But I feel like the Bomber synergy won't last for much longer with Shared Fate, Bombers, and Shadow Invocation. If that does indeed get changed, Soul Harvester might need some help. But we'll see where it goes. I'll keep you up to date. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all again soon on stream. Peace.